All right, Carter, great stuff today. We talked a lot about just, with wedges especially, if your face is in a better position, the release is a little bit different, just being able to calibrate and just practicing a lot on the distance control stuff. I think that's going to be really, really important going forward, is just trying to get really good at, the half shots, the different distances, taking some off, adding some. And then on the really short ones, like the 40, 50-yard shots, almost seeing them a little bit more as like a pitch and a chip and a little bit less like a full swing. You don't really want to be shifting your weight a ton on those shots, and it's going to be hard to control distance with a big swing on those. As far as the full wedge stuff, though, you said you're missing to the right when you were playing. Just from, history's past, what I would kind of see at the top of the swing on the old ones, if you were missing right, was just at the top, the face would just get a little bit too open, and the club coming down would get basically on the other side of the shaft. So right now it's on this side of the shaft, it would get on the other side of the shaft, and as a result, we just have a little bit more release coming through it. But if I look at some of the ones later on, as you kind of kept going here, I saw some really good swings where you're able to kind of get it to a better spot at the top, in my opinion. And we also just create a little gate here so we get a little more draw, just a smidge. You said you always play better when you're slightly drawing your wedges or just slightly drawing your clubs in general. If you do miss lefts, it's important to know your game, which is great. And so we just worked on trying to be really good at the top. It feels to you like it's, super bowed, and that might be slightly more than you would be at full speed on the golf course, which is fine. But I think you can see it's in a perfect spot right behind your hands. Shallows out great. Comes down that plane line beautifully. Really, really good spot for the delivery position. Shaft angle's great at impact. Oh, this is actually the one that you hit this. The next one was even better, but that's good that we have this on here. So for it was actually a really good shot. You just said it didn't feel very good. The one that we really liked, let me find that here. I think it was this one. Apologize for that. And, another thing that we kind of talked a lot about, just super neutral at the top. Basically left arm and club are kind of in a straight line, and then it kind of disappears behind your hands. Great. Club shallows, and the majority of the club is on this side. It's not hanging down on that side like a flop shot or a bunker shot. And you can just kind of see it gets close to the plane line, but never really drops too far under it. Goes right through your forearm. Perfect. This was your best one by far. And from here, we can just really try to rotate through. We don't really need to do a lot with the face. They should launch it, neutral to a little low with some spin, and just really try to utilize, your body coming through. And, the better you get at this, the better you control your yardages, and it just becomes a little bit easier to get that much closer. And we did a bunch of wedge tests today. I would do a bunch of wedge tests on yourself, try to get really, really good. And it's harder when you can't see a pin. So if you can get really dialed when you're not looking at an object, when you're actually seeing something, it's going to be that much easier on the course. I'd rather almost practice be harder, and then when you're playing, it almost seems easier. But this is just so good at impact. I think you can see how much lower you are, how your shoulders are starting to open up, your legs aren't overly active, and the club is just coming down right on the plane line. Perfect, just dropping right on that ball, exiting really well. You can see the face is great. It's a little to the right of the hands, and it's slightly open, so there's a lot less kind of that full release, which we only really want if we're trying to hit like a nice, super high, maybe out of the rough type shot, but not for our flighted wedges. And then you just came through beautifully. So if you look at that same shot now from the front on, everything that's set up here looks pretty good. A while back, we got the grip just a smidge stronger just because the face was getting a little bit open. Nice little L here. Love this. Textbook as it gets. Good rotation. And then from here, we're basically trying to feel like we're just putting a little pressure on this foot. And then in your case, you rotate your hips so well that your shoulders are trying to kind of catch up to your hips almost. That's the feel, and you're just super on top of it, just like super good, great delivery. And I think sometimes when you have less release, what happens is you get a little more lean at impact with your wedges, which is, again, great for the contact, but the ball speed goes up a little bit. And the ball speed goes up, and your feel's like, man, I only swung to, what felt like shoulder height, and that thing went like 10 yards farther. As long as we consistently hit it 10 yards farther, that's not a bad thing, especially with the spin. But we need to make sure that we account for that. So I think long term this is, super, super good, and you're just going to keep hitting it more and more solid and consistent. But, 10 yards long is just bad in a lot of ways, sometimes worse than 10 yards short. So just trying to make sure that you can kind of navigate those new yardages. How good is this coming through? Just like a perfect triangle, Y coming through. And you can really see how the body works well through there. So love the motion. We can play it kind of in regular speed here. I just think that touch stuff, just really working on the feel things that just can never be that good. It's just like, from 60 feet away, if you can putt it to 2 feet, that's great. Let's see if we can put it to 1 foot. Just try to make sure we get it closer and closer, and same thing with these wedges. But looks really good, great tempo, great rhythm. Love it. Great job.